Star Citizen Alpha 3.18 has finally entered the Evocati test phase. Cloud Imperium had originally said the testing cycle for Alpha 3.18 was going to be as long as 3 months due to the nature of features being tested in it, mostly because the PES, persistent entity streaming, was a monumental change to the servers and database tech and just the way the game handled the saving of locational data for every item in the game. So why is this a problem? Well, Cloud Imperium wanted to release Alpha 3.18.0 to live by mid-November. So they have around a month, and as I said, 3.18 was only just entering its Evocati phase, and well, it was supposed to be up to this 3-month test cycle. So what could happen here then? Well, a few things. Alpha 3.18 could be delayed. But this isn't actually that likely. Now, the reason it's not likely is because the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, some of the 3.18 content apparently is directly tied into that, and the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo is the big expo and sort of sales event and ship rental event, free fly that they have every year in-game. Typically around mid to late November is when it starts. However, there are some other options here too. The patch could be split up into point patches, so 3.18.0, 0.1, 0.2, and only portions of the content released for the initial launch. So everything they need for the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, probably persistent entity streaming, and a few other features. And it's possible then that other features could also slip into 3.19. Another possibility is that we have a 3.17.4 patch, just with a load of the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo stuff out, and then we get 3.18 a little bit later in the year. Last year's IAE, the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, started on the 19th of November and ran until the 1st of December. You can expect very similar this year, although I expect it to start on Friday the 18th of November this time, just because they like to start it on a Friday, and that's pretty close to the last date last year. One of the expo halls around the Star Citizen universe will host a ship expo. So this can be the Vision Center at Horizon, the Tobin Expo Center at Microtech. There's a load of cool stuff to see there. You travel there using the transit systems typically, and there'll be different manufacturers for ships taking the floor, the expo hall floor, every day, and then you can try their ships for free, see them all around the expo hall. They typically show off some ships in development as well, so there's like little hollow suites down below the expo, and they show off some of those ships there, and sometimes there's ships that you can sort of tour that aren't ready to fly, but they are sort of somewhere in their development cycle that allows you to have a look at them. They also do sort of like Inside Star Citizen special episodes where they go, oh, look at this ship, it's cool. I'm hoping to see updates on the Banu Merchantman this year, for example, but also a variety of other ships and vehicles, likely popular ones, are going to be sort of given updates, and you might see some updates on general ship features and sort of tech. There is a free fly on during the same time, so anyone can try Star Citizen for free. You get some ships to try during that time, and obviously you can rent any ones you want for free from the expo hall. There is a massive ship sale that mirrors what ships are shown on the show floor from the expo every day as well. So every time there's a new manufacturer, a load of new ships go on sale on the RSI website. You can probably expect them to have 120-month insurance as well, which is pretty close to lifetime insurance. I mean, not when you compare them, absolutely. Obviously, Infinite is more than 10 years. You can probably expect a new concept ship or straight-to-flyable ship or vehicle sale. They like to do a few around the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, but we will also see limited amounts of capital ships and other rarer ships go on sale, with small stocks being sold in waves. So if you want to pick up an Idris or a Javelin, you probably can. Very expensive though. I'm really hoping that we are able to fly that Drake Corsair at the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. It looks like that it's in for 3.18. It looks like they want it to feature quite heavily at the IAE this year. So yeah, Cloud Imperium had made a potential rod for their back though, because they want to get this content in for the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo 3.18 sort of all bundled together. Now, that all said, Cloud Imperium have been testing and fixing a lot of problems with the Alpha 3.18 build internally. So before it went to Evocati, there was lots and lots and lots of tests going on. They were fixing loads of problems and issues, and it's quite possible they've been able to deal with a lot of the expected issues without the Evocati's help this time. So a lot of the sort of testing cycle that they said might be up to 3 months, they may have actually had a month and a half or so through it already. Obviously, the Evocati phase is important, as are the PTU phases and sort of opening up to more and more players. So it's basically going to be, how well does the testing phase go? How sort of developed are those features? How refined are they when we first get them in our hands for testing? How stable is the PTU? All that sort of jazz. So do they have enough time to test all the features? Are those features in a position where they are ready to go into a live build? Do they have enough time to get it all ready for the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo 2952? And we won't know until we know. So what are we expecting feature-wise with Alpha 3.18 now? Well, so it's changed quite a lot over the last year feature-wise, Alpha 3.18. It's obviously sort of characterized by three major features: persistent entity streaming, which is the saving of locational data and sort of snapshotting the server so that servers can regenerate. That saves the persistent data of what's happened on the server, meaning that piles of items can sort of stack up, wrecks of ships potentially could stack up. You can hide caches of weapons and items and stuff. However, you might not be able to get back on that same server you were just on that you've actually made the changes to. So bear that in mind. It is the early implementation of PES here. There's salvage. So it's more specifically hull stripping. We get the Drake Vulture in this patch as well that will be able to do hull stripping. It's very similar to mining at this stage. The Reclaimer, its two turrets will be able to hull strip as well. And then you can sort of dispense that material that you have stripped into cargo boxes and put it in your cargo grid to sell. The multi-tool will also be able to do a limited amount of hull stripping, which will then store it in a canister. You can use this canister with that same multi-tool to actually repair holes in hulls. There will be salvage sites that you'll be able to turn up to and sort of hull strip, but also you'll be able to hull strip the wrecks of player and NPC ships. The cargo factor is the other big thing in the patch. There was a bit of concern about it originally that Cloud Imperium haven't talked about it much, and is it going to make 3.18? But Cloud Imperium seemed pretty confident that it was going to be in the patch. This is sort of physicalizing cargo. We don't know actually to what extent the cargo factor will be implemented in 3.18. They could have loading and unloading fees and times associated with sort of cargo gameplay. Larger scale containers might be here. We might see new cargo boxes, but you can expect at the very least the physicalization of commodity cargo, which can now be moved around to sort of holds of ships, and might give people some more reasons to sort of loot you, or a bit more gameplay associated with general cargo and hauling. The Daymar crash site. So we've got this new sort of landing zone where a wrecked 600i and Mercury Star Runner are, but it's sort of merged with a junker town that's been built up around them. Missions and associated with it are going to be sort of like delivery missions, but also combat missions. There's more and updated rivers for Microtech and Hurston, so expect to start seeing these all around the verse rather than just one on Microtech. Sand caves. We've got sand caves starting to appear at Daymar. The Grey Cat PTV racetrack at the Horizon Vision Center. So are we going to have potentially a expo at the Horizon Vision Center at the same time the racetrack's there, or is it something that happens when there's no expo there? Does that mean that we're not going to see an expo at the Vision Center this year for the IAE and it's going to be somewhere else? Or does it mean that it is going to be there and they have the racetrack there at the same time? We'll have to wait and see. There are prison updates and new missions at Klesher's prison. So they're tweaking the sort of crime stat stuff so that up to a level 2 crime stat doesn't make you a hostile to everyone, so you can actually land at landing zones and pay off your fines. The prisons, there's going to be a load of new gameplay there. They're going to be a bit more dangerous potentially. NPCs are going to be walking around the mines. There's going to be reasons to take these NPCs down and take other players down there if they're causing too many problems. Security Post Korea is getting a big update with loaded defenders there now. There's defense turrets. There's a full security detail. You can go there and you can fight them, and some of the bosses will drop sort of access codes for the machinery there that you can then use to dispense confiscated goods and narcotics and stuff. So basically you have your own little mini jump town as a criminal that you can dispense and get a load of loot from. However, missions will be generated for bounty hunters to come and deal with you. There are going to be new combat missions at platforms around Horizon as well, so making use of the Siege of Orison sort of area and potentially expanding it out when that event isn't on. There's still going to be missions around. We've got the Drake Corsair as well. That's going to make a load of people happy. Awesome looking multi-role, multi-crew, mainly focused at exploring ship, but it's going to be used for just a load of different mission running and cargo hauling, I suspect, as well. Great for a small crew to fly around the verse in. That's going to be flyable in 3.18. There are likely going to be a few other things that aren't mentioned on the roadmap as well. Gen 12 renderer updates. So Cloud Imperium have been building up their engine and the Gen 12 renderer for better scalability, better looking graphics, and as a platform to put Vulkan integration into as well. So Gen 12 renderer stuff, very likely a load more of that's going to be in 3.18, so that should be pretty cool. There's probably going to be some other straight-to-flyable and drivable vehicles or variants, almost certainly, and ships and stuff like that, but just because of the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, as we sort of said. Volt Electron FPS weapons, they've been being worked on by Cloud Imperium for quite a while. It's very possible that some of these will turn up, new armor sets, things like that. Other new missions, they like to tie new missions into things. We might see some other cool stuff at the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo this year as well. You can potentially expect new commodities because obviously with the cargo factor, physicalizing of those boxes, they might go, well, actually, let's put some new commodities in. Some of the stuff they showed at CitizenCon might start to be phased in, or at least the groundwork starting to be laid, so you might see some tweaks to weapons or ships or the meta, sort of ahead of the changes to master modes, which is the clear difference between SCM, sort of combat and functional mode, and travel mode, where you're going cruising or going into quantum. We should at some point between now and the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo as well, if all goes well, get a wider PTU test, potentially even an open PTU, where we can start showing off a load of the content in that patch with tangible footage. Obviously, I don't cover the specifics of an Evocati patch. I can't show footage from Evocati unless Cloud Imperium show it, as I am an Evocati member myself, and I am NDA'd on disclosure agreemented to not show that stuff off. As soon as we can talk more and show you more, we will. Boom! That's it for your Alpha 3.18 cycle update. I am very excited for Alpha 3.18, but I'm also interested to know what you think. What do you think will happen with 3.18 live if they can get it out for mid-November? Will they split the patch? Will they delay some features? Could it all be peachy? What are you most excited about for this patch? Do you want to pick up a particular ship during the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. NordCon 2952, the road to Nord 4.0. What do you want out of nordvpn.com/BoredGamer? Nord base building? Nord hunting 2.0? A dynamic Nordonomy? I'm personally looking forward to the latest Nord cruiser. In the meantime, I'm going to make do with NordVPN protecting my data from insidious space pirates and giving me unrivaled access to all the content that the internet has to offer. Use the links below. Note, NordCon 2952 does not actually exist. Also adding to my shill pile, Tobii Eye Tracker 5 gives you precise head tracking and control with your eyes. That's the sound of my eyes controlling the lasers, giving you unprecedented immersion in Star Citizen. You can basically aim lasers with your eyes. Pew pew! Use the links below and code BoredGamer for discount. Every month we have a ship giveaway for Star Citizen. For October, we're giving away a Cutlass Black with pirate skin, lifetime insurance, and Star Citizen game package. All you need to jump into the game. Just comment on any of my videos made during October to be in for a chance of winning that. If you would like to further support the channel, please consider becoming a channel member with the join button below my videos, or potentially becoming a Patreon. You'll get access to some exclusive content, and it really helps the channel out. Thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video, and have a great October.